Hey everyone, welcome back. One of the things we think about as parents is how to set our kids up for success, right? It all starts with their brains. And today, we're diving deep into a blog post that's all about boosting your child's memory.
Oh, okay.
Good memory, it's practically a superpower these days, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. In this age of information overload, having a strong memory is essential for kids.
It really is. But before we get to all the fun memory tricks, I think we need to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Our brains, and especially our kids' developing brains, they're under attack.
You're absolutely right. We often forget that memory isn't just this internal thing. External factors play a huge role.
Yeah.
What we eat, what we're exposed to in the environment, all of that can have a big impact on brain health and memory.
I read somewhere that certain food additives, they can actually impair memory in children, and that's just terrifying.
It is a concern, but the good news is we have the power to fight back. This blog post we're looking at gives us 10 practical strategies to help our kids build stronger, more resilient memories, even with all these, modern-day brain drainers out there.
Okay, so it's like we're arming our kids for battle. Let's get into it. What's the first line of defense?
Well, the first technique really taps into how kids naturally learn. It's all about visual.
Kids have pictures.
Exactly. They're visual learners by nature. So the blog suggests creating these things called visual story maps.
Visual story maps. Okay, I like where this is going.
So instead of just reading about planets in a textbook, for instance, encourage your child to draw each planet.
Oh, okay.
Add unique characteristics, maybe even tell a story with it, like a comic strip.
Turn it into a space adventure. I love that. This reminds me of when I was a kid. I had to memorize all these different types of rocks for a science test, and my mom, she's so creative. She helped me draw each rock, and we made up these silly stories about them.
Nice.
And to this day, I still remember those stories and the rocks.
See, that's exactly how it works. You're making it multisensory. You've got the visual element with the drawing. You're actively engaged in creating it. And then you've got the narrative, the storytelling aspect. It all comes together.
That's a triple memory whammy.
Right.
All right, so parents, ditch the flashcards and break out the crayons and markers. It's art party time.
I love it.
Okay, let's move on to something that I still use to this day. Mnemonics. I can't help it. My very educated mother just served us nachos.
Classic.
I know, right? It's how I remember the order of the planets.
Mnemonics are just classic memory tools.
Yeah.
Work because they take something complex and they boil it down into something so easy to remember.
I had a history teacher in high school. Oh my gosh, he would make up the craziest songs to help us remember dates and stuff. They were so catchy. We aced that test, though.
Hey.
But this blog, it encourages parents to get creative with their kids and come up with their own wacky mnemonics.
That's great. It makes it fun, but it also makes kids active participants in their learning.
Right, exactly.
They're not just passively absorbing information, they're creating something.
All right, so we've covered visuals and mnemonics. What other tricks do we have up our sleeves?
Okay, get ready for this one, because this is not just good for memory. This is good for your child's overall brain health.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Get those kids moving.
Okay, I'm all for more playtime, but how does that boost memory?
Physical activity, it's not just good for their bodies. It actually plays a huge role in brain health and memory function.
Really? So we're talking about more than just recess here.
Exactly. We need to incorporate movement into the learning process.
I like it.
This blog suggests things like spelling words while bouncing a ball,
Okay.
or, turning multiplication practice into a hopscotch game.
I can picture it now. My living room is going to turn into a crazy obstacle course of learning.
It's all about getting creative and having fun with it.
All right, so get ready to dance our way to better memories. Now, before we move on to the next memory-boosting technique, I got to know, do you have any personal experience with any of these? Have you tried these out yourself?
I have. When I was in college, I used a memory palace.
Oh, tell me more about this. Memory palaces.
It sounds a little intimidating, but it's actually super intuitive, especially for kids.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break it down for me. How does a memory palace work?
Well, you start by picturing a familiar place, like your house, right?
Okay.
And you imagine walking through your house, noticing all the details, each room.
Okay.
And then you associate the items you need to remember with specific locations in your house.
So, like if I had a grocery list, I could imagine a loaf of bread sitting on my kitchen counter and then like a gallon of milk on the dining room table.
Exactly. And the more vivid you make those associations, the better. You're basically creating a mental map, a journey through your memory palace.
That's fascinating. I can already picture my kids coming up with these elaborate memory palaces, maybe even with secret passageways and hidden treasures.
Haha, exactly.
Okay, so memory palaces check. What's next on our memory boosting adventure?
This next one might sound a little counterintuitive, but trust me, it works. Spaced repetition.
Spaced repetition. Okay, I have no idea what that means.
Think about those times you've crammed for a test, right?
Oh, yeah.
You feel like you know the material, and then a few days later, poof, it's gone.
It's like my brain just hits the delete button as soon as the test is over.
That's because cramming, it's only good for short-term memory.
Yeah.
To really move information into long-term memory, you got to review it repeatedly over time.
So it's not just about how much we study, but how we study.
Exactly. Spaced repetition, you revisit the material at increasing intervals.
Yeah.
So maybe a day after learning it, then a week later, then a month later.
So we're spacing it out and giving our brains time to really absorb the information. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Any tips for how to actually do that with kids?
Well, flashcards are great for that. You know, you can use them
Oh, yeah.
for spaced repetition. There are also a ton of apps and online programs these days that use these spaced repetition algorithms to help you learn.
It's like having a personal memory trainer in your pocket.
Exactly. Technology can be a great tool here.
Absolutely. So what's the final technique on our list? What's the grand finale?
Well, we've touched on this a bit already, but mindfulness.
Oh, yeah, being present. How does that help with memory?
When we're stressed or distracted, our brains just can't function at their best. Mindfulness techniques, things like deep breathing or meditation,
Yeah.
they help to calm the mind, reduce stress, and that leads to improved focus.
So it's like creating a peaceful environment for our brains to thrive in.
Exactly. And there's so much research now showing that mindfulness practices can actually improve memory and cognitive function.
Oh, you have to try some of this myself.
You should. Even just a few minutes of deep breathing can make a huge difference.
It's like a mini mental vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. 10 memory boosting strategies.
10.
But as we've been talking, I've been thinking about this idea that memory, it's about so much more than just, remembering facts or passing tests.
Right.
It's really about who we are,
Absolutely.
how we experience the world. It shapes our lives in such a profound way.
Our memories, they're the building blocks of our identities.
I love that.
They shape our beliefs, our values, our sense of self, and they connect us to other people.
It's like we're weaving this tapestry of experiences, both big and small, that make up the fabric of our lives.
Right.
But in this fast-paced digital world, it's so easy to just get caught up in all the information and distractions.
It really is.
How do we help our children create those meaningful, lasting memories amidst all the noise?
That's where all these techniques that we've talked about come in. They're not just about, rote memorization. They're about teaching our kids to be present, to be engaged with the world around them, to be mindful of their experiences.
So it's about cultivating a sense of curiosity, a love of learning, and just a real appreciation for the power of their own minds.
You got it.
It's not just about raising, little memorization machines. We're raising thoughtful, compassionate human beings
I love that.
who can make sense of the world and connect with others on a deeper level.
That gives me so much hope that even in this chaotic world, we can empower our children to build these strong, resilient memories that will stay with them for their entire lives.
Absolutely. It's never too early to start either. Even small things.
Yeah.
Like taking the time to talk about your day with your child, reading stories together, playing games that encourage memory and attention. All of that makes a big difference.
It's a journey that we can take together as a family. I'm already feeling inspired to put some of these techniques into practice with my kids. I can't wait to see their faces light up when we create our first memory palace or when we have a multiplication dance party in the living room.
That's great. And, remember, it's not about perfection.
Yeah. It's about being curious, experimenting, and having fun along the way.
It's true. And ultimately, we're giving our children the gift of a strong, healthy mind.
Absolutely.
And that's something they'll carry with them for the rest of their lives.
You said it.
This has been such an incredible journey through the world of memory-boosting techniques. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. I've learned so much.
It's been my pleasure. I'm always excited to talk about this stuff.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into memory-boosting strategies.
I hope so.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's even more to come. So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore 5 more memory-boosting strategies, and we'll talk about how to adapt these techniques for different ages and learning styles.
Sounds great. Can't wait.
All right, we'll see you soon.
See ya. Welcome back to our deep dive on boosting your child's memory. So we've talked about visuals, mnemonics, movement, and mindfulness. What else can parents do to help their kids remember things?
Okay, well, this blog post has a few more tricks up its sleeves, and I have to say, this next one is super intriguing.
Oh, good. I love this one.
Tell me more.
It's all about engaging the senses. Think about it. Some of our most vivid memories involve multiple senses, right?
Yeah, like the smell of your grandma's baking.
Exactly. Or the feeling of sand between your toes on a beach vacation, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Those sensory memories are so powerful. But how do we apply that to, learning?
Well, the blog calls it multisensory magic. It's about moving beyond just, reading or listening and getting your child to really engage with the material using all their senses.
Okay, so it's about making learning a full-on experience.
Exactly. Like, let's say your child is learning about the human body. Instead of just looking at diagrams in a book, encourage them to use Play-Doh or clay to build a 3D model of a cell, labeling each part as they go.
Wow.
Or if they're studying a historical event, they could create a diorama, bring the scene to life with little figures and props.
Oh, I love that. It's like turning their study space into their own little museum. It's so hands-on. I remember when my son was learning about volcanoes and we made a volcano out of baking soda and vinegar. It was such a mess, but he'll never forget it, that eruption.
Haha, that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And you know what? It makes learning fun. And when kids are having fun, they're more likely to remember what they're learning.
It's true. So bring on the art supplies, the building blocks, the baking ingredients. Let's make learning a sensory adventure. Okay, what's next?
All right, this next one's all about connecting new information to something your child already knows.
So building on existing knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's about making those connections in the brain. The blog calls it anchoring.
Anchoring. Like a ship's anchor.
Yeah, think of it as, like a mental anchor for new information.
I like that.
When we can relate something new and unfamiliar to something we already understand,
Right.
it becomes so much easier to remember.
Okay, I see what you mean. So if my kid is learning about fractions, I could connect it to, cutting a pizza into equal slices.
Yeah. Or if they're struggling to remember PEMDAS, the order of operations in math, you could relate it to the steps they take to get ready for school each morning.
Right. So we're basically building these bridges in their brains, connecting the new stuff to what they already know.
That's a great way to put it.
I love these analogies.
Yeah.
Okay, so anchoring. Got it. What else?
All right, this one is called spaced repetition. Now, I know that sounds a little bit technical,
It does.
but it's a super powerful way to really move information from short-term memory to long-term memory.
Okay, sign me up. Tell me more about this spaced repetition.
Have you ever, crammed for a test
Oh, yeah.
and you feel like you know it all, but then a few days later, it's gone?
Ugh, yes. It happened to me all the time in college. Like, poof, the information just vanished after the test.
Exactly. That's because cramming, it's only good for short-term memory. To really learn something and remember it for the long haul, you need to review it multiple times, over time.
So it's not just about how much you study, but about how you study.
Exactly.
Okay.
Spaced repetition, you revisit the material at these increasing intervals. So you might review something a day after learning it, then again a week later, and then a month later.
Oh, okay. So instead of cramming all the information in at once, we're spacing it out and getting our brains time to really process and absorb the information.
Precisely.
So it's like, I don't know, watering a plant. You don't want to drown it all at once.
No.
You give it a little water regularly, right?
That's a great analogy.
And it grows strong roots.
Exactly. So how can we put this into practice with our kids? Well, flashcards are a great tool for spaced repetition.
Okay, yeah.
You can make your own, or you can use some of those apps and online programs that are out there. They use these fancy algorithms to help you remember things.
It's like having a personal memory coach, but in an app.
That's right. Technology can really help us with this.
All right, spaced repetition. I'm adding that to my list. What's the final technique on our list?
Well, we've talked a little bit about this already, but mindfulness is so important.
Being present.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when we're stressed or distracted, our brains just can't function at their best. Mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or meditation, they can really help to calm the mind and reduce stress. And when you're less stressed, you can focus better.
So it's about creating that calm mental space for learning.
Exactly. And, there's more and more research showing that mindfulness practices can actually improve memory and cognitive function. Even just a few minutes a day can make a difference.
I love that. It's like a mini vacation for your brain.
Hmm.
And I'm going to try that myself. Deep breaths.
You should. It really helps.
All right, we've covered so much in this deep dive. It's amazing. 10 memory-boosting strategies, all designed to help our kids remember more and learn better.
It's been quite a journey.
But as we've been talking, I keep thinking about how memory, it's so much more than just remembering facts, for a test or something.
Right.
It's really about who we are, it shapes our identity, and it's about how we connect with the world around us.
It really is. Our memories, they're the foundation of our lives.
I love that.
They shape our beliefs, our values, our sense of self. And, memory is what connects us to other people, too. Sharing stories, remembering experiences together, it strengthens our bonds.
Yes. It's like we're weaving this tapestry of experiences,
I love that image.
big and small, that create the fabric of our lives. But in this, fast-paced digital world that we live in,
Yeah,
it's so easy to get caught up in all the noise and distractions.
it is.
How do we help our children create those meaningful, lasting memories amidst all of that?
Well, that's where all these techniques we've been talking about come in. They're not just about memorization, They're about teaching our children to be present, to engage with the world around them, to be mindful of their experiences. And those experiences, those are what create those lasting memories.
So it's about nurturing their curiosity, that love of learning, that appreciation for the power of their own minds.
Absolutely. We're not just raising little memorization machines, we're raising thoughtful, compassionate human beings who can connect with the world and with each other on a deeper level.
I love that. It's so true. And you know what? It gives me so much hope that even in this busy, sometimes overwhelming world, we can help our children build strong, resilient memories that will stay with them forever.
I agree. And it's never too early to start. Even small things like talking about your day together, reading stories, playing games that involve memory and attention, those all make a difference.
And it's a journey we can take together as a family.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling so inspired to try some of these techniques with my kids. I can just imagine their faces lighting up when we create our first memory palace together,
Right.
or when we have a, multiplication dance party in the living room.
Haha, I love it. And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about being curious, experimenting, having fun along the way.
That's so important.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're giving our children the gift of a strong, healthy mind.
The best gift you can give them.
Absolutely. Well, this has been such a fascinating exploration of memory-boosting techniques. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure. I'm always happy to talk about learning and memory.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of memory.
Me too.
Remember, you have the power to unlock your child's memory potential. Start small, be creative, and most importantly, have fun. Okay, so we've explored a ton of memory-boosting techniques, but as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to remember that memory, it's not just about, acing tests or winning trivia night.
Right. It goes so much deeper than that.
It's about shaping who we are as individuals.
Exactly. Our memories are the foundation of our identity. They shape our beliefs, our values, our sense of self.
It's like creating a personal history book, filled with all the stories and experiences that make us unique.
I love that analogy. And those memories, they also connect us to others.
It's true. Think about all the times you've bonded with friends or family over shared memories, those inside jokes, those funny stories from the past.
Absolutely. It's what brings us together.
But in this digital age, it's so easy to get swept away in the constant flow of information and distractions.
It is. It's a real challenge.
So how can we help our kids, create those meaningful, lasting memories amidst all the noise?
That's where all these techniques we've been talking about come in. They're not just about, boosting memory for academics. They're about teaching our kids to be present, to engage with the world, to savor those everyday moments.
To really be mindful of their experiences.
Exactly.
We're not just raising, little memorization robots.
Right.
We're nurturing their curiosity, their love of learning, and their appreciation for their own unique way of seeing the world.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's about raising well-rounded human beings who can connect with the world on a deeper level.
That's a beautiful thought. And, it gives me hope that even in this, crazy, chaotic world, we can equip our kids with the tools they need to build strong, resilient memories that will last a lifetime.
Absolutely. And it's never too early to start, even the little things, talking about your day with your child, reading stories together, playing games that encourage memory and attention. It all adds up.
It's a journey we can embark on together as a family.
It really is. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about exploring, having fun, and celebrating those aha moments along the way.
That's so true. Well, this has been such an incredible exploration of memory and all its wonders. I feel like I've learned so much today. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
It's been my pleasure. This is a topic I'm truly passionate about.
And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of memory. Remember, the power to unlock your child's memory potential is within your reach. Start small, be creative, and most importantly, have fun learning and growing together.